So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the out of control inequality that we are now experiencing within the economy. And it's not now that we are experiencing it. This is something that's actually been taking place for many years. I mean, if not really since the beginning of time, there has been a separation between the rich and the poor that takes place anytime you inject new money into the system. The only problem with this is that most people don't recognize what is truly happening out there because it's such a slow pace of change that actually happens that most people look at it as a political environment or some kind of banking or social reasoning or excuse to why it is that there's this major separation that has now taken place within the economy, within the people. And it's not really now. Like I keep saying now because most people are recognizing it as a major problem. Not that it wasn't a major problem before, but now it's to the point that people are like, hey, I got a good job and I still can't make it, and they don't know why. And that's really what it comes down to, is not understanding what it is that's taken place from the underlying economic forces. Because the moment that somebody says, how is it that you're supposed to make it nowadays? I don't know how to answer that question. I don't think that there's a political, environment or idea or construction capability of a possibility. I don't know how you want to fabricate the idea. I just don't think that that's possible. Like, that's not their job. I mean, although we probably would say that it's their job, I don't think it's their job. I think our job is to understand what it is that's taking place so we can position ourselves for it. But most people don't want to change what it is that they understand or how it is that they are feeling or understanding what it is that's taken place. Instead, they want to be locked in on their belief system and then change the external, which is saying, hey, it's somebody else's problem out there to fix so that I have a better way of life. So the moment that somebody even says, how is it that they're supposed to make it, or how is it that somebody is supposed to make it, they have already defeated themselves, because really there's nobody that's coming to make it any different than what it is that you're experiencing today, unless you change what it is that you are thinking, feeling, and behaving with. So the major inequality that we are now facing, which is really scary for a lot of people out there, can really be dealt with if you understand why it's occurring, like why it is that we are having this major issue that is now happening where a good job isn't enough to cut it. And if you just simply to say, well, it's easy enough, the powers that be want you to suffer in pain and misery and not have anything in your life, and they will take everything from you. Okay, well, you can take that sort of belief, and there's actually plenty of evidence out there. I know I used to live that way and think that way for a very long time, but then I changed the way that I was thinking and feeling about what it was that was happening out there, and found that I could actually position myself to be in not only in the flow of money from income, from trying to figure out many different sources or avenues of being able to acquire some sort of money in my life, but then also cut way back on my expenses, and then found that, yeah, you can achieve a idea of an American dream, but it's not the American dream that you were hoping for. It's an American dream of an idea, like the house, the kids, wife, car, vacations, all that other stuff. Like, that part is still achievable. The only difference is that the regular 9-to-5 job will never ever cut it again. That needs to be accepted. It will never ever happen again. And so now, understanding that if you do have a day job, and thinking and hoping and praying that there will be somebody who is going to come into office or create an environment that is going to say, hey man, your working steady job that you have will be plenty, it will never come. It will never ever come again. There was a time in this country that existed, and you can go and blame all the politics and greedy corporations, bankers, or something of that nature, or you can go and read Cantillon's essay on economic theory, where he describes in detail exactly what it is that's taken place between the rich and the poor when new money comes in. I mean, he straight up says it. There are a group of people out there who will postpone buying stuff, consuming, increasing their standard of living, however you want to describe it. They will postpone that expenditure going out there from their increased income, they will postpone that so that they can deploy that money into something that is going to have a return of interest that is secure beyond their occupation. Cantillon described that hundreds of years ago. Think about that. There's people out there who are positioning themselves to take full advantage of the things that are happening right now within this economy. Then there's people out there who are taking out debt to buy a luxurious experience and literally putting themselves into debt slavery. This is what is the major driver of the wedge, is people's behavior with the debt. That's the new money. People have to understand, debt is the new money. If you have access to the debt, you have access to new money. What you do with that debt will then determine where it is you're going to be in relation to the wedge. Are you going to be on the top side of it, or are you going to be on the bottom side of it? Most people, consumers, 80% of the people out there, the bottom 80% of household incomes, when they take out debt, that's exactly what they do with it, is they put themselves in a position in which that they are now debt slaves. Then you have a great group of people out there who are much smaller, who people say are greedy individuals who have borrowed money and then bought cash flowing assets with it, like rental properties. Then they get a return beyond that of the debt interest payment that has a secure rate of interest beyond that of their occupation. Like, understanding that right there is the major reason why we have such major inequality. The access to the debt and what it is that people do with it. That's the new money. See, it was a day, like, let's set that aside for just a second, because people are going to disagree with that and say, oh no, bullshit, it's all about corporate greed and stupid politics. Okay, great. Let's set that aside for just a second, and let's look back to when we were a manufacturing powerhouse. When your daily job, when your average job, manufacturing the world's greatest stuff and sending that stuff out there to the world, and the world sent you their money, think about that being the new money coming in and who has access to it. If you are a manufacturer, even if you're working at a factory job, you are producing stuff that is being sent out there to the world, and the world is sending you their money. You are now within very close access to the new money, even though it might go to the corporation and to, the management, and then eventually to the employee. Being a manufacturer of a product that is being distributed to the world is putting you very close to new money. May not be right in line, it may not be first access, but it's very close. And being very close to the new money then gives you a buying power unlike anybody else would have out there if they didn't have access to that new money or was not positioned very close to it. If you are in that position, you are going to increase your standard of living. You're going to buy better clothing, nicer house, better car, eat better food. You're going to do all the things that happens when you increase your standard of living. That is what would take place if you had access to new money because you were a manufacturing powerhouse. That is super important to internalize, because most people don't have access to new money like that. The new money is coming from the debt issuance. So if you have access to the new debt, and you take out that debt and you buy cash flowing assets, you will be in a position on the other side of the wedge. Now, whether or not that plays out to be a benefit to you, like the asset falls in price, housing market crash, or something of that nature, yes, you could find yourself being removed from the top side of the wedge just like that, if you have leveraged yourself up there. This is the problem. This is where most people are now losing it with their ability to understand why it is that they're on the bottom side of the wedge. Is because they have this mentality that says, man, I work hard, I produce, I do things in the concept of being disciplined, being, in in awareness of that I'm going to keep my expenses low and that I'm going to increase my income as much as possible, and still not able to make it because they are relying on that day job, right? They're like, man, if I work harder at my day job, if I get a promotion, if I get, into that management position, what they are not realizing is that they are only going to get so much money from that job. They can only put in so many hours. The salary is only going to go to so much, and then they're limited. You have to find something where you are limitless. You have to be limitless in every way. Like, if you feel in any way that you are limited, you will not put the effort in. You will not put out what it is that you need to do in order to acquire the most abundance in your life. You will feel the limitations and you will act accordingly to that limitation. The moment that you're out of that feeling, the moment that you think, man, I got business opportunities, I got a network I can build, I got all the stuff that I need in my life beyond my 9-to-5 job in order to secure an income. Once you start looking at it that way, you start feeling limitless. Even though you may not have everything in the world, the fancy cars and the fancy houses and a big giant bank account or all the cash flowing assets, but if you are moving in that position, you feel like as if it's going to happen soon, like as if you already got it. Being in that sort of mindset, being in that sort of state of being, of feelings, of acquiring, none of the limited things out there like, oh, the government's holding you down, or man, there's this corporate greed, all that other stuff, that all fades away. It's just like, yeah, that's not a problem. That's not a problem for me. I'm limitless. I'm on my way. Okay? And so this is really where I think, again, like most of the time when you hear somebody of this statement that says, how is anybody supposed to make it nowadays? You're relying on somebody else to do something. How are you supposed to make it these days? You're supposed to understand and internalize the information for yourself, recognize that there are people out there who are killing it today, and then position yourself accordingly for that based on the skills and ideas that you have. Right? I mean, because I don't know what it is you're going to do to change the government or the banking system or anything like that. Like, I don't get it. But I do understand how that separation has taken place due to the new money. It's new money every single time. New money is what creates the inequality. And I don't care what you do with it. If you hand it to the poor, you hand it to the rich, you hand it to the middle class, you hand it to anybody, it doesn't matter what happens with the new money. If you inject it into the system, it will automatically go to the top, and it will cause separation between the rich and the poor. Every time. Very little doubt in my mind. Right? Because history has proven that to be the case.